And so we'd like to yield the floor to Northwest Indian College and their team to introduce themselves and to share their presentation with everyone. So I'll pass it to, I'll pass it to Victoria.
Awesome, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. I appreciate everyone's presence, and I'm really excited to talk a little bit about the college. And it's great to see everybody. Our sister institution, Portland Community College, just down the road, I-5. So thank you again for everybody for being here. I will introduce, or I'll let the team introduce themselves, and I'll start. So to just remind you all, my name is Victoria Rataskett. My role here is Dean of Students. I've been in this position for about 10 years. I'm a member of the Bonaparte Indian Band from Cache Creek, British Columbia. And I've been in the Bellingham area for about 15 years. So pleased to meet you all. I'll pass the floor over to Shoshani.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shoshani Perez. I'm a direct descendant of the Tulalip and Tlingit and Haida peoples. I currently serve as the first year experience advisor. I have for the last 4-5 years. It's been a long time, but a great time. Prior to that, I worked in the admissions office for 4 years. I am also an alumni of the college. I have both my associate's degree in the general direct transfer and my bachelor's degree in the CARE program, our Community Advocates and Responsive Education and Human Services program. So I am very happy to be here, and I've been at the college for about 10 years now. So great to have you, and I'll pass it over to Chandra.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chandra Norton. I'm a member of the Hoopa Valley Tribe. I am the Native Studies Leadership and Human Services Advisor for Northwest Indian College. I am also a recent graduate of Northwest Indian College. I graduated from the CARE program, which is Community Advocates and Responsive Education and Human Services. It's nice to be here. I'm going to pass it to Esteban.
Thank you. Hashlaho Paxia Esteban Luhisquas, Chin Spokane. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Esteban. I'm a citizen of the Spokane Nation, and I am a graduate of Northwest Indian College as well. I'm the faculty and advisor for the Northwest Indian College Tribal Governance and Business Management Program. So that's what NWIC TGBM stands for. Glad to be here, and I'll pass it to Destiny.
I Squile, Destiny Petrosky, Sonasna, Naman, David Petrosky, Natan, Jennifer James, Chuck Lummy, Spokane Son. My name is Destiny Petrosky. I'm a citizen of the Lummi Nation. I currently serve as the Dean of Academics. This is year 3 for me. So started kind of in the middle of the pandemic. And so it's been, well, I guess before then I had a couple months and then I went straight into the pandemic. So it's been a lot of fun to be a dean in the middle of a crisis time. I am a graduate from Northwest Indian College as well, from the Native Studies and Leadership program. And at the college, I oversee all academic programs, our Math and Writing Center, library, workforce development, anything academic, internship related, tutors, things like that. So Haishka, thank you so much for being here. You could have chose to be anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here and listen to us talk today. So Haishka.
Hello, my name is Julia Orloff, and I am the advisor for the Native Environmental Science program. And I am also an alumni. You'll find that most of us here are alumni of Northwest Indian College. So anyone that you talk to, if you're a student here, we know the experience of being a student at Northwest Indian College. And I am Aleut, or Unangan, the people from Alaska, born and raised in Bellingham, Pacific Northwest. And I've had a relationship with Northwest Indian College for the last 20 years as a student, and now as advising in the Bachelor's of Science and Native Environmental Science. So thank you for creating this space for us, and I will pass it on to James.
Thank you guys for having me today. I'm James Mathias, the SEM recruiter here for Northwest Indian College. I've been here for 3 years now, and I handle the networking, the outreaching, and target visit high school students and do presentations and everything. I'm a member of the Salish and Kootenai Confederation tribe in Montana. And also on the other side of the family, I'm Lummi and Tulalip. Thank you, guys.
I think that might be everybody. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just get into talking about the college a little bit more. I do have a PowerPoint we can follow along with, but I would like to just really have conversations based on the staff from the college that are here, and then potentially any questions you might have along the way. We do have time for question and answer at the end as well, but I will just go ahead and start with that, the PowerPoint portion. Perfect, thank you. Yeah, so again, we just wanted to talk a little bit about Northwest Indian College in general, and hopefully we can get through some of the questions you may have about our institution. I'll just start off a little bit of history about the college and background. So we are one of 39, I believe now, tribal colleges and universities that are spread throughout the United States. We're a member of AHEC. AHEC is the American Indian Higher Education Consortium. And so that is the entity that, just kind of oversees tribal colleges in general. And so as a member of a tribal college, we have a little bit of a different structure when it comes to the way that we are, gosh, I can't think of the word, not accredited, chartered. So most community and state colleges are chartered by the state in which they live. Northwest Indian College is chartered by the Lummi Nation. And so the Lummi Nation took it upon themselves to fulfill their vision of educating their own. And so through that mission and the development of this college, there was the sort of initial historical groundwork for a school of aquaculture in the 1970s. And so that was sort of the first basis or the first institute that was created through the Lummi Nation. And so again, focused on aquaculture science, and then grew into a community college that was based on a very Western model. So there's a nearby community college that we partnered with to sort of develop into an accredited institution. And we have since grown to become accredited by the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities for both associate and bachelor degree programs. So that's, just to give some context, we are the only tribal college in the Pacific Northwest. So our nearest neighbors are over in Montana, and then also nearest in Alaska. So out of those 39 tribal colleges, we are the only college that serves regionally sort of the Washington, Idaho, and Oregon area. I'm looking at developing future partnerships with California as well. So that's just a brief background. So I will kind of pause here and leave it to the Dean of Academics, Destiny, as well as the advisors for each of these programs to take some time and talk a little bit about that program. So if we can start with that Bachelor of Science program, and I will hand the floor to Julia.
Thank you, Victoria. And yes, I want to tell you about the Bachelors of Science in Native Environmental Science. We have 2 tracks through the program that are very similar. This emerged from the need for tribes to be able to manage their own natural resources. It was a 2-year program, Tribal Environmental Natural Resource Management, that grew into the need for a Bachelor's of Science. And our hope is to soon have a Master's of Native Environmental Science at Northwest Indian College. What I love about the college is that we're ever evolving to the needs of our community, and we're very connected with the community and their needs. If you see over my shoulder, we have some students and some community members. We work closely with the community. This is at a clam garden in Canada. We know that our communities cross borders, and so we collectively, responsible for our environment. These students and community members are looking at a traditional clam garden and rebuilding that clam garden from from long ago, that the people of that area use that clam garden to sustain their livelihood. And so the students at this point were rebuilding the clam garden and comparing it to other sites that were similar that don't have clam gardens, and taking inventory of what species, what kind of sea animals were in that those areas. So this type of work that we do in the Native Environmental Science program runs the gamut. I was more interested in policy and planning of Native environmental science, how tribal entities work closely with municipalities or towns close to them. And so, but we also have students that are interested in, we've had a student that graduated that was interested in computer programming and designing a video game. That was his capstone. But we also have students that go on to Masters of Science. I was going on for a Masters of Arts. And so what I love about the BSNES, as we call it, is that we meet our students where they're at, and we help them along on their journey and tailor it to the goals that they want. And so I don't want to spend too much time, because I know that we have other programs, but know that I am available at any time to meet with students to go over the program requirements. We have the ability to enter students as freshmen or as juniors, and you're looking at biology, chemistry, fishing rights, native environmental science, native science, and it's an exciting program. I'm proud to be a graduate of the BSNES, and look forward to being proud as a graduate of the Masters in Native Science someday. So would love to help you on your journey if science is what you're looking into. There's lots of support in the sciences, whether that is academically or financially. So don't be afraid to email me, and I'm sure that information will be passed on to you. But I'm going to pass it over to the Bachelors of Arts in Tribal Governance and Business Management.
Thank you, Julia. I mixed my screens up there, so I had to fix that. I introduced myself earlier. My name is Esteban. I'm the TGBM advisor. I'm also a faculty member in the TGBM program. We offer 2 associate's degrees, so you can earn associates in business and entrepreneurship, or you can earn a associate's in public and tribal administration. I'm looking at some notes here. We offer a lot. So you can also earn your BA in, and that's the Tribal Governance and Business Management BA. And then we have concentrations. So instead of doing like some people do minors when they're earning an undergrad, we have a concentration. So you can earn kind of a general concentration, which is just governance and business management, or you can focus in casino management. You can focus in tribal entrepreneurship. That's what I earned for my BA. And then you can focus in public and tribal administration. Our program is definitely geared towards those who are interested in possibly serving their nation at the government level. So if you've ever decided, hey, I think I might want to be on council, or I want to work in the administration building, our degree is going to help you get there. It's also going to set you up to go on and earn an MBA or a MPA, so a master's in business or a master's in public administration. A lot of our graduates, I'd say probably half, go on to earn a graduate degree, and a large amount of them end up going to Evergreen State College. Our dean of academics earned her MPA at Evergreen, so she knows about that program, but we feed a lot of students into that program, and then like me, some of us go on to earn MBA, so that's what I'm working on now. And yeah, like Julia said, we are available. We're a phone call or an email away. So if you have further questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thanks. I guess I'm passing it on to Chandra.
Yes, hi. Again, nice to meet you guys. My name is Chandra Norton. I am the advisor for the Bachelor's of Arts in Native Studies Leadership. I've been in this position for about 2 months, so I'm still fairly new. But the Native Studies Leadership focuses on a journey of self-determination and reclaiming cultural sovereignty. And just to read what the program is about, traditional knowledge is our canoe. It moves us away from Western genre that has shaped and determined a sense of who we are and towards our original identity, an identity that is formed by sacred histories, language, origin stories, and the heroes who continue to defend our families and homelands. So Native Studies Leadership, it really does focus on classes that are based on cultural sovereignty and learning about the history of your people and the stories, the origin stories. Some of the degrees that when students get this degree, what they continue on towards is there are students who are working with language revitalization, students who are studying to take their LSAT and become a lawyer. There is Destiny, I believe she graduated from this program. I think she mentioned that. And again, just focusing on how you can build and strengthen your tribal communities. And then I wanted to, I'm also the advisor for the Bachelor's of Arts in Community Advocates and Responsive Education in Human Services. I did get my bachelor's degree in this program, which is also called the CARE program. And I am wanting to eventually get my master's in Indigenous education or public administration. So that's an example of what a person from graduating from this program can move on to. So the program is rooted, the CARE program is rooted in relational accountability to the people within our environment and the responsibility we have to helping in healing. This provides students with the ability to integrate traditional values and ways of knowing within the national standards of human services in order to proactively engage in the restoration of people, families, and communities. Some examples of what students who have graduated from this program are currently doing. I'm an advisor. There are some who have went on to get their master's degree in administration. They're also working in social services, behavioral health, and education. There is a lot of options as far as what you can use this degree for. And also the Native Studies Leadership degree. There are many ways that you could use your degree. I am available to meet and have a more in-depth conversation about any one of these programs. I can include my contact information in the chat. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Destiny. Yep, go for it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Rudy Vendiola oversees our other 2-year programs, and so he wasn't able to be on the call today, but so I'm kind of like a stand-in for him. Some other programs that we offer, you can see here on the right side, is the Chemical Dependency Studies. So it's an ATA degree in Associate of Technical Arts. And so that's something that you can get within Washington State. So you would do the program and then you could get certification through the state. And then we also have these awards of completion. So lots of different awards, entrepreneurship, tribal museum studies, tribal voc rehab. We have initial early childhood education. And then we also have tribal casino management. There is a program that isn't on here, and it's the early childhood education degree. And so that's a 2-year program as well. And many of these programs are completely online. We're still we just became accredited to offer online programming back in November 2020. So we are still trying to grow that online presence. And so it's been quite a transition for us. So we do have both possibilities though. So I want to let you know that whatever type of student you are, you could be face-to-face or you could do online. Just to share like the future of Northwest Indian College, we are looking at a couple of programs that will start winter quarter. One of them is pre-engineering. It's an ATA, so an Associate of Technical Arts. And so that degree will go to WSU afterwards to finish up their 4-year degree in engineering. Eventually, our hope in a couple of years is to have our own engineering 4-year program. And then we also have the behavioral health aid program. It was just approved under Senator McCoy back in 2020. It was a bill that passed, and so now we are creating a behavioral health aid program, and that's going to be a 2-year, and then eventually a 4-year option. And then we're also working on a tribal voc rehab 4-year program, and then finally, and this one's going to take a couple of years, but we're working on a teacher education 4-year program track as well. So just reach out if you do have any questions. We do have a lot of programs that are coming up. And so you're going to see the college growing quite a bit. So let me know if you do have any questions about our programs. And I can always, show you the right person to talk to also. So if you're like, this is too many names, even if you just remember one of ours, we can always redirect you. We just want to make sure you find the spot that you're supposed to be in. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Destiny. And thank you, Julia and Esteban and Chandra as well for going over those 4-year programs and then the 2-year programs as well. So the next section that I wanted to talk about a little bit was that we do have a walking tour. So there is a link available that I will put in the chat. When you do have some time, feel free to look at that link and take a walk around campus. I know it's a little bit cheaper than making the drive up here, but you are also always welcome to come visit us and see our campus as well. And then keep in mind that this is our main campus here located at the Lummi Indian Reservation near Bellingham. But we do have 6 extended campus locations. And the closest one to you guys is probably the Nisqually site down south on the I-5 corridor. And we do have one all the way over in Lapway, Idaho as well on the Nez Perce Indian Reservation. So this virtual tour is just of the main campus here, but again, you are welcome to take some time and look at that virtual tour. So I'll go to the next slide. Whoops, no, don't go to the link. No, go here. Okay, so I will pass this portion over to Shoshani.
Hello, everyone. So I want to talk a little bit about the college itself, along with some of our students. And so what you are seeing on the slide is some words. One of the things that we do at orientation is we talk a lot about, we want to get to know you, right? And of course, with things having switched to being virtual, I don't get to see the students necessarily in person as much as I would love to. Hopefully that will start changing by next year and I can have students here on campus, which is great. I do get to run the new student orientation or transfer, students that transfer, we generally tend to have students together working in the same pod. And so one of the questions I generally love to ask my students is, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about college in general? How are you feeling about changing colleges? As that tends to happen as well. And so some of the words that you see on the screen are words. I created a beautiful wordogram. These were words that students shared at our orientation sessions last year. So things such as being excited and overwhelmed and nervous and anxious, but very grateful and very happy to be in a place where they can start to learn and to better themselves and take it into their communities as well. The nice thing about Northwest Indian College is because we're a tribal college and university, we don't generally tend to serve the typical student. So we do have students that come straight out of high school and straight into college as well, but we do also have what we would consider a non-traditional student. So our average student is somewhere between the ages of 24 and 34, most likely female. Our student population is very much a female forward population. And most often is a single parent also working as well. And so the really nice thing is that creates a lot of dynamic classrooms and the ability to learn from one another along with learning from your instructors as well. And so our student population is fantastic. It's always ever growing. We are, I believe, Victoria, correct me if I'm wrong, about 650-ish students this fall quarter, which is a number that we have not seen in a while, which is fantastic. Like Julia also mentioned towards the very beginning, we are seeing students from all over the country. So the nice thing with the introduction of the pandemic was that it opened a lot of doors for students who did not necessarily feel comfortable moving away from home and coming to school. They really wanted to stay active in their communities and stay active with their family. And so we have seen an increase of students taking distance learning education. And so just as Destiny mentioned, we have been accredited to offer distance learning education, distance learning degrees as of November, which is fantastic. That means it's going to open so many more doors for students, especially even you as you're staying, if you may potentially want to stay in the Portland area or stay in Oregon, or you were brought to Portland to go to college and you want to return home and continue to go to school as well. That is a lot of that's a really great opportunity for you to continue accessing those classes and things along those lines. All right, so just some admissions information, and I'll kind of go over, I'll switch it a little bit since I know that we have a lot of college students that are currently taking courses and getting degrees. So Northwest Indian College is an open admittance institution. And what that means is that we are not selective. So as soon as you have earned your high school diploma or your GED, you are automatically admitted to the college as long as you complete your application, which is fantastic. So for students that are coming from other colleges, what you see on the screen is going to shift just a little bit. You don't necessarily have to complete step number 5 if you have taken previous college courses, but you definitely have to complete step number 4. So really the process is very simple. Most students generally are admitted to the college within a 2-day turnaround. So you can complete your admissions application. The easiest way to do it is to actually just complete it online. It goes a lot faster. It generally takes our admissions staff just a couple of minutes to process, and we can get your application on file. In order to be admitted, you do need to submit a copy of your high school diploma or GED. So that means that you can take a clear picture of your diploma. You can submit unofficial transcripts, whatever is easiest for you to access. That is what we need. If you are not able to access either your high school diploma or your GED, we can admit you based on having your official college transcripts. And so you would have to have your official college transcript sent. So number 3 is to send a copy of your tribal certification. So the one amazing thing about tribal colleges and universities is that because we are not directly funded by the state, we do not have to use state residency to determine our residency status for our students. So residency for us is determined based on your tribal affiliation. So being an actual enrolled member of a federally recognized tribe, band, or corporation, being a member of a band in Canada under the Jay Treaty, being a direct descendant such as myself. My mother is an enrolled member of TLALIP, and so that is how I am able to be admitted and to attend classes. We also have students that if you are married to a tribal member as well, or if you work within one of our service areas, you can qualify based on employment for one of our service areas as well. Which is fantastic. The other fantastic thing is the cost of tuition. I want to take a moment to kind of talk about that and highlight that in this moment. So it was really great. In May of 2021, our Board of Trustees decided to make education more accessible for students around the world and around the country. And so they drastically reduced the cost of our tuition. It went from about $135 per credit with a tiered system that was fun to learn and understand for us and for our students, to a single tiered system of $99 per credit, which is amazing. And on top of that, they also wanted to continue to open access for students as well during this pandemic for students that may not be working at this moment, to allow them to continue their education. So they offered a 50% tuition waiver for the entirety of this academic year. So tuition for students that actually qualify for residency is only $49.50 per credit, which is amazing. It's not, like I said, I have my associates and my bachelor's from the college. The lowest I've seen this tuition rate was, I think, when I started back in 2011, which was like $99 a credit. So, and I think it increased right after I started, which was okay. But it was definitely haven't seen this low, which is fantastic. And then for our students that would not qualify for residency under any of the residency policy, it's, Victoria, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't do math today. Is it 199? I cannot remember right now. My copy is not kicking in.
198, close.
198. See, I'm always close. And the other thing is also that you would also still qualify for the 50% tuition waiver as well. So that would drop your tuition rate to $99 a credit, which is amazing. The other part is number 4, since all of you are working towards your education and moving in great directions, you would have official transcripts to submit to the college. So you can order official transcripts. I highly encourage students now, whether or not we are in the pandemic, is to order an electronic official transcript. One, they tend to come a lot faster. I've received official transcripts from students the same day they've been ordered, which we all know that's a lot faster than waiting for it for 5 days in the mail for it to show up. But it also gives you as a student a little bit of a peace of mind to also know when the transcripts are showing up and when they're being opened. And as of right now, it is also our procedure to fill out what's called a transfer evaluation request. All that really does is, one, it gives us permission to mark all over your transcripts and to bring in the credits, but it also gives us an idea of what transcripts we should be expecting. So if PCC was not your very first college, maybe you attended college at a different point, we would know what transcripts to be receiving. And then we would know what program of study you are potentially interested in, so we can help navigate those credits to that program. And then we can also help navigate you towards that specific advisor as well. So those are just the pieces of the admissions process. Like I was saying, we generally see it, we've seen students do it in 15 minutes. We've also seen a couple of day turnarounds. It's a really relatively quick process. And we are a rolling admissions process. So you can apply for every quarter. You don't just have to wait and apply annually. You can apply, like our winter quarter is beginning January 6th. So students are applying and working through that process right now.
Yeah, thank you, Shoshani, for going over some of that basic admissions information. And I just also wanted to spend just a quick moment, this information is a little bit out of date now, because I'm sure with, PCC, things are kind of changing regularly when it comes to COVID-19. So just the sort of basics is that our campus is reopened to the public as of September 1st. So staff are working on campus. And then we are holding a limited number of courses that are face-to-face, not just via Zoom. And then hoping to, as things proceed, hoping to offer more and more classes face-to-face and activities as well. And then we do have a vaccine requirement to be able to access those on-campus classes or services. So just wanted to share a brief note about that. And then I will pass the floor over to James to talk about some of our housing options.
So we have two separate options here. We're a student at Northwest Indian College, located on the Lummi main campus. So we have our residential life center, our dorms, which houses about 70 students. And those are co-ed dorms. There's a full kitchen there. The cafeteria is down below. If you do decide to do the dorms, you must do the meal plan as well. I think the dorms are about 900 and the meal plan's about 7 per quarter. And then the second option would be the Quina Village apartments. So we have anywhere from 1 to 3 bedroom apartments, really close walking distance right down the road from the college, about half a mile. And then those are about 13 to 1500 depending on the bedroom size. And it's really convenient. I stayed there when I was a student here. The the college's fitness center that we utilize is right across the street from the Quina Village Apartments as well. And the Quina Village Apartments are family need first. So if you're a student with a family and you need more privacy, and then you got a little more priority to those Quina Village Apartments than you do to a student that does not have a family. And there's no other housing options for our sites currently. And also, we are currently at a 50% capacity this year for the dorms and the apartments, I believe. And I think we're going to plan on opening up to 100% fall, maybe Victoria can correct me on that. No final decisions made yet.
And then Shoshani, yeah, so again, no final decisions on when we'll be at 100% capacity, just obviously trying to play it by ear and determine what's the safest. Shoshani did mention some of this information about tuition. James, I don't know if you wanted to just quickly go over some of the financial aid and scholarship opportunities as well.
Alrighty, so this year we actually had, pretty sure it's like this for a lot of more colleges. We have extra funding this year to help out our students with scholarships and housing. At the college, we have our foundational scholarships that we offer every quarter to the students. And then each bachelor program has their own separate scholarships as well. We have scholarship nights where we have faculty and other staff members that help students apply for scholarships. And financial aid programs assistants are located here in the CSS building 17. And that's about that for the scholarship portion. Thank you, Sho. Sho provided the link down there for the financial aid in the chat.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, James and Sho. The next section, this is my favorite part. Before I was a dean, I was a student activities coordinator. So I really enjoyed getting to know students when they're doing fun stuff. And so things are a little bit different now during COVID, but we do have an athletic department that is hosting the men's and the women's basketball program right now. So our men's program that has information about the dorms. That's not helpful at all. I'm sorry about that. But we do have information on our website as well for the athletic department. Basically, we just have those two sports that are going right now. And then when things are not as pandemic and COVID-y, we have options for intramural sports and activities. And then we also have a student executive board, that represents the student body, hosts the student activities, student events that happen, lots of student clubs, opportunities for travel, presentation at conferences, just different activities that are available, lots of fun stuff as well. So keep in mind that there are in-person and then also virtual activities, I'm sure just like at your institution, but we really do rely on students to tell us what it is that they are interested in doing and what kind of clubs and activities and events they would like to see happen on campus. So those are kind of the big things. I will stop share there and then see what questions there might be yeah, I guess we'll just go with that.
We had some questions submitted when folks registered, but definitely one of the questions that came up was kind of sharing with students the difference between being on a semester and a quarter system. And so here at Portland Community College, we have fall, winter, spring term, and some people can get approval for a summer term. And so just wanting to see, what do your terms look like? How many weeks are in each semester? We're about 11 to 12 weeks per quarter. So just to give our students an idea.
That one. So we are a quarter system. So our academic year starts in summer quarter, which generally starts either the end of June or the beginning of July, depending on when 4th of July falls. That generally tends to depend on how when our quarter starts. And so then we run the course all the way through June. This year it is June 17th is the last day of our quarter, so the last day of the academic term for 2021 to 2022. Most often students only attend fall through spring, so September through June most often. The amazing thing is that financial aid is now year round as well. It just uses up lifetime eligibility faster. So students that decide to take 6 credits in the summer. So our summer quarter is generally shorter. It's about 7 weeks on average. So generally the beginning of July, at least this year it was beginning of July, all the way through till the middle of August. And then our students had about a month break between the end of summer and beginning of fall. And so students can use financial aid over the course of the summer. It's probably about a third of our students, about half of our students, or the very most, tend to take summer quarter. Many of our students generally tend to take summer quarter off and enjoy their fun and visit with their families and do some traveling and things like that. So it sounds very similar like PCC. It sounds like PCC is also on a quarter system as well. And so that is pretty much how it works. So very similar, 11 weeks is the average length of the quarter. I think this quarter we actually got 12, but it's not very common. But yeah, generally 11 weeks is the length of our quarters.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you for addressing that question. And we had a couple questions that kind of had a similar feel around the student life. And so you've mentioned, like, if you wanted to highlight a couple of examples of really successful or ones that you know, have been really helpful for transfer students to feel connected, maybe we can highlight some of those.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. I think one of my maybe personal favorites, I don't know, but one that a lot of students tend to be involved in is there's an annual AHEC conference, a student conference. So I mentioned we're part of the American Indian Higher Education Consortium. And so every spring, students would get together and from tribal colleges across the US and would participate in different academic and non-academic competitions. So different things like a knowledge bowl or a science bowl, dramatic play readings, speeches, and then some other non-academic things. There's a basketball tournament, archery competitions, just a variety of activities. And so our students generally spend at least a quarter, if not more, preparing for that annual student conference. And so a group of students will travel to a tribal college that hosts that annual event, you know, throughout the US. So it's been in the Montanas, the Dakotas, the Southwest, Northwest Indian College has never hosted the student conference portion, but we are always active participants. So that's one of my favorites because it does bring students from sort of all academic areas, non-academic areas to participate as a team and to represent Northwest Indian College and to have some friendly competition with other tribal colleges in a variety of ways. I mean, it really is about just, you know, building relationships and getting to know some of your peers at the college and then at other tribal colleges as well. So that might be one of my personal favorites. I don't know other NWIC staff if there are some other activities or engagement areas you wanted to mention.
Yes, I just like how students have opportunities to create their own student clubs, and the faculty and staff here help find funding for those students. It's open opportunities for our students all over here to start up their own club. We had a student that wanted to play soccer before, so they started a soccer club. One of my younger relatives started the music club. And then I know the snowboarding club hasn't been going on for a few years, but that was a big club going on. And it just kind of based on what the students want that particular year. And that's what I like best about it.
I'm going to shout out the Sciences, American Indian Science and Engineering Society, otherwise known as ASIS. In a non-pandemic world, we're usually pretty involved with ASIS and their annual conference where they have a very large career fair, opportunities for students to network with other institutions and career advice. And Northwest Indian College has been the only tribal college to win chapter of the year for ACES. And I happened to be part of that year that it won. So just doing a shout out for some of the work that our students do here. But yes, it really is driven by the students and what they want. Things ebb and flow with the ACES. It's like a phoenix rising, and then it might, but I think that's because our students are so involved with their courses and working with their instructors. So it really is driven by the students, and we've got some great individuals that Gabby Salazar, Nolani, that work with our students in just activities on campus, and Joan that likes to do field trips to various places. And I think their last field trip, was it a soccer? So they went to a soccer match, I believe, not too long ago. So down at Seattle Sounders. So, but we really like to address the needs and the wants of our students. I would love to see another trip too. It's been years since we've gone to Shipwreck Beads. That was a long time ago. We took a van down for students that like to bead, but definitely there's opportunities.
Since Julia shared about ACES and I'm the business advisor, I'll share about American Indigenous Business Leaders. We won chapter of the year as well when I was attending. That was in 2019. And we were actually down in your neck of the woods. We were presenting at Nike's campus. So those are opportunities that you'll have. Clubs and orgs are huge. I often refer back to being involved in clubs and orgs is why I graduated. It definitely kept me within the community, kept me interested. So that's a way to build community. Even if you get here and you don't know anyone, you can join a club and start to get to know people and or develop your own club, like James was bringing up. It's pretty simple to do, and you'll find that other students have the same interests as you. So thought I'd throw in the old business pitch there.
Thank you, Esteban. I'm gonna, there was a question in the chat about arts on campus, and are there a range of art courses? So I will pass it over to the advisors, maybe Julia, Shoshani.
So we do have some art classes that are available throughout the quarter. Smackia or Matt Warbus offers some basket weaving with cedar, and then he alternates that with flute making will be in winter quarter. And we have individuals throughout Northwest Indian College on the widespread for beading. So beadwork 1 and 2. We have a very skilled quilt. Is it a quiltist? What do we call someone that quilts? She makes star quilts. That's here at the main campus, and she has grown to include a long arm quilting machine. But academically, it's the Native Studies Leadership Program that Chandra advises for, that offers Coast Salish art. And that is for students that are enrolled in the Native Studies Leadership Bachelors of Arts program. Those are upper division Coast Salish Art, Coast Salish 1, Design 2 are offered inside that program. So we're always hoping to grow in the arts. I advise in STEM, and I always like to include the M and the A and make STEAM. And so hoping to offer more of art possibilities going forward.
Can I piggyback on that, Victoria?
Yeah, of course, please.
So I think a really cool thing about attending a TCU, especially Northwest Indian College, is we're not a massive institution. We're small, but being small means we're nimble. So if there's something that interests you and you can find an instructor, you can find someone who is qualified to teach that course, we can implement an art class of your interest, and you'll find that you can find other students who are interested in that as well. So there's a wealth of knowledge that comes through NWIC. Maybe people come in and they come out, but they still want to teach, maybe be adjunct professors, instructors. So any type of art, really, it's like, we can get anywhere from, we were offering like digital art to form line painting and sketching to carving. So all sorts of arts are available if you decide you want something specific.
Great question. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Esteban, kind of mentioning, our nimbleness as a smaller institution. Definitely one of the highlights for sure. That also means small class sizes. We did some pencil, what is that called? Number crunching. I don't know where the pencil part came in. Pencil something. Anyways, number crunching, and it looks like based on our enrollment, we have about a 1-to-6 student to faculty ratio. So class sizes are very small, and that means that there's some really great opportunity for engagement on behalf of students and their instructors. So question in the chat, are we able to be part of Northwest Indian College if someone like me who's still currently discovering their Indigenous background from taking a Chicano Latino studies class and is studying in the STEM field? Yeah, I'll pass that to Julia.
Yes, we encourage students to join us. What the best part of classes is the lecture parts where everybody brings something to the table. Where I attended my courses here at Northwest Indian College Lummi campus, but I think that the students in my classes for Native Science were, I think we had one student from Lummi. The rest were from Yakima, Arizona, Alaska, and California. And so it was always interesting to see the perspectives that were brought to the discussion, and it just enriched things, I felt. And you're talking to someone here that, was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, and my traditional homelands are on the Alaska Peninsula, where my father grew up until the age of 14, and then he was taken to boarding school, and he after that he relocated here in Washington. So I am in the process of rediscovering just my roots as well. It's been a journey of self-identity, and Northwest Indian College has helped me on that journey, and I feel more confident when I speak to others, and you're seeing everybody else nodding, because we've all had that journey here. There are some individuals, it's great to have the individuals say that yes, they grew up on their traditional homelands, and they were blessed to work with our grandparents in their traditional ways, and they bring a different perspective to class. That's awesome. So but we meet students where we're at. And so if that is helpful, but we welcome everyone.
I'll pull this up really quick. This is just a little infographic about our student population for fall. And so you can see sort of the diversity of our students, that we have students from 21 different states. There are more than 90 different tribal nations that are represented. Majority of our students are sort of a non-traditional college age, and they take a variety of courses. And so I think that's just a really good, quick example of, who our students are, and that they come from a variety of backgrounds. I will pass over to Sho. I saw she had her hand raised.
I really want to acknowledge Julia's comments. I also want to kind of acknowledge our foundational courses that each of our programs have. As a student, very similar experience to Julia. I was raised predominantly off my reservation, went to a very large non-native school as a high school, did not have much experience in my Indigenous culture. I came to Northwest Indian College, and it was through that experience that I was able to connect with my Indigenous identity and to connect as an Indigenous woman and what that means to me and what that means to my family and my culture. But within each of our programs, we have a set of foundational courses specifically to help guide you along that part of self-discovery, that internal discovery for you as a student. So I only got to experience a course as they were created after I graduated with my 2-year. I did have some in my 4-year program. So it was a really great course. We talked about family and lineage, inherent and sovereign rights. We talked about origin stories and all different kinds of things that were specific to who we were and to who are our Indigenous communities, which allowed us to tap into our own method of self-discovery and learning to really walk in the two worlds and understanding how we do that effectively. And I will be very open and honest and say that course and a lot of the courses in policy and things that I got to take were really a game changer for me. And I really echo Julia in feeling much more confident as an Indigenous woman now to speak about who I am and where I come from and its relation to my work and to my education than I did when I graduated from high school with not having the connection. And it's actually very funny as a role reversal that with the knowledge that I have, my parents come to me now and say, hey, I'm interested in this, or I want to know more about this. Do you have connections or do you know more about that? And so it's a really interesting role reversal that happens, but it's a great opportunity for self-discovery and connection. And I really encourage any student, whether from a Hispanic origin, an Indigenous origin in that respect, or an Indigenous Aboriginal origin, to be able to connect with that and take some of those classes that can help you kind of connect with yourself and connect with your community a little bit more.
There are some great questions. Thank you so much. Are there other questions about the college or the experience, programs?
Just defining out what tribal sovereignty is and why it's important, and kind of just creating that common language for our students who might be newer to that concept. And so, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I've been waiting my whole academic career to answer this question, so I'm excited. Tribal sovereignty, I mean, at its base, like, to be a sovereign, this is, I mean, you'll learn about this, you'll talk about it, you'll discuss this for years, even after you graduate. But I mean, the basis of being a sovereign is you have to have land, you have to have people, and you have to have government. So when we talk about Native nations as sovereigns, it's because we are sovereign nations. We were here before colonization, we'll be here after. But we have a relationship with the United States government where we negotiated treaties. I believe you guys spoke about that in your land acknowledgement. But that government to government relationship, that's sovereignty. So I think I answered the sovereignty part, like what a sovereign means, sovereign nation. And then I did want to add, I know we're kind of wrapping up here. We didn't really get to talk about too much like the education you're gaining at Northwest Indiana College. The lens in which you're learning through is huge here. This isn't, you know, I'm a business instructor, I'm a business student. I'm not here to teach you how to be a capitalist. I'm here to show you how business affects and impacts tribal nations, how business is how most tribal nations generate the revenue needed to support their citizens. That's a huge thing most people don't understand, and that's something you learn here. You start to understand, you know, there are no taxes on most tribal reservations. If they want to create something or do something, they have to create the revenue to do it, and the way they do that is through business. So it's a huge thing you'll learn here in our classes, and then there are just things like that through all the programs where you're just like, you have that moment where you're like, what? I didn't know that, and that's, I think, what makes this place so special. So I just wanted to touch on that. thinking about the lens in which you're learning, and why. So I hope that answered that.
I'll put in a perspective. I believe that Indigenous people, that it's a necessity that we educate ourselves to protect our inherent rights and our tribal sovereignty. They're constantly being attacked by, and I don't want to, go too political, but our rights are attacked by the federal government. Currently, there's a case that is in Skagit County, just down the road, half an hour from the Lummi campus, where there are two fishermen that have been taken to court because they are being accused of taking clams illegally. And so it's gone to the Skagit County Supreme Court, or Supreme District Court, and the Fish and Wildlife is accusing them of taking clams outside of their usual custom. And it's you see these little attacks throughout Indian country, and it's because of people that are willing to stand up, like Gabe Galenda, who is a Native lawyer, to stand up for our fishing rights and our inherent rights, that we continue to be able to practice our traditions. In Texas, the Indian Child Welfare Act is being attacked, and they're trying to dismantle the Indian Child Welfare Act. And so it's important for us as Indigenous people to educate ourselves, and that's where Northwest Indian College, it gives you that perspective as an Indigenous people, and helps you claim your identity and be able to express those when you go, if you want to continue on your education outside of Northwest Indian College. I believe that it gives you a firm foundation of who you are. But we also have students that work within the federal government. I have a friend that graduated with me in the BSNES program that works for the Fish and Wildlife in Minnesota. So, it's just, but I think that's helpful that we insert ourselves into all areas. So if that's the activism part of Julia, so anybody else wants to add?
Yes, I'd like to add. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, good to go. I would just like to add my own personal opinion. This could be wrong, others could be right. You can't put sovereignty into one box, right? We got over 500 different tribes, different backgrounds, different cultures, and it could mean something different to every different tribe and person. That's why you're seeing all these different answers come out right now. And sovereignty to me is, our own inherent rights from your own community you live in. So in Montana, hunting's really sacred and important to us. Here, as Julia mentioned, here on the Coast Salish side, fishing is very important to the people here. And there's no one definition for over 500 tribes of sovereignty. It's what you make of it. And that's part of the self-determination era we live in now. All the resilient things all of our tribes are doing. And that's just my own personal definition of what I believe sovereignty is.
And I think I just put it in the chat. One of our colleagues actually asked us, I want to say a few trainings ago, and it was a hard question to think of, is what does education mean to you? So my focus after in my bachelor's in my human services was very much in education. I have a really strong determination and passion for equity in education for all minorities across the board. And so she asked this question, and it was one of the hardest questions I've ever had to answer. And for, in the realm of education, protecting that knowledge really is a really sovereign piece and an inherent right to protect the knowledge that was passed down to us and that was passed down orally most often, and protecting that knowledge and those ceremonies and that sacred part of each of our individual respective nations is really part of sovereignty. And I think One thing that I think I can say is that work is never done. Understanding what sovereignty is and how we interact with it and how we continue to do that work is never done. That was one thing that, you know, my instructor in actually my introduction to cultural sovereignty class said was, you teach what you know and you teach what you don't know. And so it's up to us to constantly learn and understand the ever-changing things, such as what Julia is talking about with the different things that are happening and how we can protect those and protect our knowledge and our rights. And sovereignty it happens in different cultures too. It's not just an Indigenous term, it's a term for all minority cultures across the board. And there's knowledge and rights and practices and educational pieces that you have within your culture. And that in and of itself is sovereignty. And your continuance of learning and learning how to protect that is a big part of keeping that culture alive and keeping that sovereign piece alive. So it's not just an Indigenous term, it is a term across the board. And yes, it's a great question. It always gets every single one of us thinking. It terrifies me because then I do think back to my foundational courses and go, oh God, what am I going to have to pull from my foundational courses to remember this? And I'm thinking of my teachers that taught me those. Were like, oh God, is this the right answer? So that was why, oh no, Pace, you're asking me a question I have to pull from the books for. But it's a really great question to ask and to think about too. And I will say that this question is kind of at the forefront, like Victoria put our mission in the chat. It's really at the forefront of what our instructors ask us to do as students and what Victoria asks us to do as advisors and how we advise and how we help take care of students. It's all of that sovereignty and Indigenous determination is at the forefront of everything that we do. So it's a question you'll answer over the 2, 4, however long you are here with us. It's a question that you'll constantly work at finding the answer for. But it's kind of one of those ones I don't think, even graduating 3 years later, I don't think I've quite tied up the loose end to that question yet either. So.
Yeah, thank you, team. That was an excellent question. It definitely gets us, it reminds us, right, like why we do what we do and why we're here, and why, we believe in the mission of our institution, that we are moving that forward. We're moving tribal sovereignty forward by, working, attending, serving a tribal college and a tribal community. And that is all near and dear to all of our hearts. So thank you.